Hey guys, how's it going today? Snake here with another Cyberpunk 2077 video. This time I'm going to give you a build guide on one of my favorite builds I've made so far, and that is a gunslinger pistol type build. If the Hollywood movies are any kind of scale to measure yourself by, then you know full well that most heroes tend to carry a pistol as their iconic weapon of choice. We've got people like John Wick, we've got Han Solo, hell, even Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk itself uses his signature Malorian Arms pistol. If you guys like seeing a million damage headshot and looking cool while doing it, this build's for you. With the build I'm going to show you today, you'll be able to go through very hard difficulty without much difficulty at all. You'll be just like your favorite action hero John Wick, slowing time down and blowing people's heads open with no discern. They don't even know what happened before you've already gone through and cleared everyone out, and reaping every benefit. You'll be able to do things like achieve 100% critical chance, so every hit is a critical hit, and things close to 300% extra critical damage. And that's before buffs even start to apply from dropping people on the battlefield. You want to destroy a large group of enemies huddled together? Pick up your trusty comrade's hammer. In fact, you can wipe entire groups with one shot. Or if something more like sniping people from afar and getting things like 1,000,000 damage on a headshot critical, pick up a trusty Quasar and go to town with that charge multiplier. If you have folks that like to hide behind cover, your arsenal of tech weapons will make quite easy work of them. The pros to this build would be that it's very mobile, you're quick, it has high DPS and high damage. The downsides I've experienced to a build like this would be that since you don't have any kind of intelligence stat, you're not really going to be hacking very much. I use Sandevistan, so it doesn't matter to me, but it might matter to you. You have high technical ability for opening doors and for turning off cameras, stuff like that. Okay, so just starting out, I recommend you definitely get Cold Blood. It's going to get it to level up passively, and it's going to give you a lot of good perks. The things you want to get in the Cold Blood tree would be things. Cold and Calculating is going to make any critical hit you land apply a stack of Cold Blood. So basically, anytime you're in combat, you're going to be rocking Cold Blood. Coldest Blood increases the maximum stack amount, allowing you to get more out of it. Pain is an illusion. This is totally optional, but it does help. It gives you reduced damage taken while it's active. Unbreakable increases the stack amount again by 1. Critical Condition increases the duration, so it gives you an extra 10 seconds before the stacks begin to deteriorate. Frozen Precision for the headshot damage of 50%. Defensive Clotting gives you an additional 20% armor. Combined with armadillo mods in your armor, you're going to have obscene amounts of armor while Cold Blood is active. And then of course Merciless. The first point in it is the most important. It gives you that increased critical damage, and then you get a small increase for each subsequent point. Stealth tree is completely optional, but I did pick a few perks out of it due to already having level 20 cool and access to all of them. So I went with Cheat Death. It helps you to reduce incoming damage when your health drops below 50%, makes you extremely tanky. Then we've got Assassin for just a flat 15% more damage to human enemies. And Sniper, so that you can get an additional 50% damage on a headshot fired from outside of combat. Now once you've put a point into cold blood, you actually have the option of where you want to take the build. You can go with reflexes to go through the handgun tree for more immediate damage increase, or you could invest in cold blood for the long-term really beneficial critical increases. I highly recommend that you go into the crafting tree in technical and you keep this up to date as you progress through the game. In the crafting tree, I go for Waste Not, Want Not. That is a very useful perk for farming mods. True Craftsman to craft rare items. Grease Monkey to craft epic items. Cutting Edge, which increases the damage and all damage related stats by 5% on crafted weapons. Edge Runner Artisan to craft legendary weapons. Efficient Upgrades, which gives you a 10% chance to upgrade an item for free. Totally optional depending on whether you want to level a weapon up to you as you level up, or if you want to wait until you're max level and upgrade a final weapon at that point. Field Technician just makes your crafted weapons deal 5% more damage. Let There Be Light to reduce the component cost of upgrading items by 20%, again optional. Tune Up, which allows you to upgrade lower quality components to higher quality ones, optional again as well, but I find it does help when I just need a couple more materials to make that weapon. Ex Nihilo, which grants a 20% chance to craft an item for free. Very useful when you're save scumming and crafting. If you guys are interested in how to craft a weapon to have its maximum potential to deal the most damage as possible, because there is a lot of RNG involved, I actually have a video that describes how that process works and how I get my top tier weapons. And we have cost optimization to reduce the opponent cost of crafting items by 30%. This helps a lot when you're producing a lot of weapons hoping for that really high crit damage roll. Now you might be surprised a build that primarily uses tech weapons and doesn't actually have a lot of points put into the engineering tree. The reason being is because there's actually only a few perks in here that directly affect your damage of your tech weapons. A lot of these are more grenade oriented perks, but the ones you definitely want to grab are going to be Tesla, which increases the charge multiplier for tech weapons by 55%. This isn't going to help weapons like Comrade's Hammer because it does not charge, even being a tech weapon, but the Quasar will benefit from this. You also want to go for Uber Charge. Fully charged tech weapons deal 50% more damage. Again, the Quasar benefits from that greatly. Up to 11 allows you to charge tech weapons up to 100% capacity. Very useful. Superconductor. This is the bread and butter of this tree. The entire reason that this build is focused around tech weapons. They ignore armor, and that is a huge boost to your damage. And I will be putting 1 point into revamp. As you can see, my engineering tree is actually only at 15, but this is not necessary at all. I already do obscene amounts of damage, but I do plan to fully maximize this build. Now before I get into reflexes, you may notice that I have a higher body stat than default. Now that is not because I need to open doors or anything like that. That's solely for the requirement of the Comrade's Hammer, and I believe the base Buria has the same requirement. So if you are planning to use either of those weapons, just keep that in mind that you will need 6 body. Intelligence, I only upgraded that for the perk I Spy to spot enemy net runners who are hacking me through walls. Now under our reflex tree, which is our primary damage boosting handguns, we have attritional fire, so that each consecutive hit on a target increases your damage by 10%. OK Coral, 50% more damage with pistols and revolvers when the enemy's health is below 25%. High Noon to increase crit chance with pistols and revolvers by a base 12%. From Head to Toe increases damage to limbs with pistols and revolvers by 15%. handy if you miss occasionally. Westworld increases crit chance for pistols and revolvers by 10% if fully modded, which your weapons absolutely should be fully modded. There is no reason not to. Snowball effect. After defeating an enemy, fire rate for pistols and revolvers increases by 5% for 6 seconds and stacks 5 times. This is useful for the Quasar. A fistful of Eurodollars increases crit damage with pistols and revolvers by 20%. Desperado increases damage with pistols and revolvers by 10%. Gunslinger reduces reload time for pistols and revolvers by 25%. Very handy if you're going to use the Comrade's Hammer. Less needed if you're mainly going to use a weapon like the Quasar. Acrobat allows you to dodge while aiming a pistol or revolver. Brain Power, successful headshots will increase your critical chance by 25% for 5 seconds. Wild West removes the damage penalty from pistols and revolvers when shooting from a distance. Rio Bravo increases headshot damage multiplier with pistols and revolvers by 30%. Long Shot Drop Pop increases damage with pistols and revolvers to enemies 5+ meters away by 25%. Grand Finale makes the final round in the chamber of a pistol or revolver deal double damage, and yes, it does proc for every round of the Comrade's Hammer. Lead Sponge enables you to shoot with pistols and revolvers while dodging. And the good, the bad, and the ugly, I put 1 point into it because the 1 point gives you that base 30% increase, but I think that Merciless is worth putting the extra points into over this one. This one increases base damage, and Merciless increases the critical damage. If you guys want to know any kind of details about crafting or getting these mods, I have a video linked in the description that explains how to craft and farm to get your highest potential. Okay guys, so you obviously know that I use the Comrade's Hammer and Quasar as my main weapons. Besides that, you're pretty much free to wear whatever you want. For mods, you basically just want to stack Armadillo in your armor and make sure that you have at least one Deadeye, Fortuna, and Bully mod to increase crit damage and crit chance. The mods currently do not stack, however I hope that that will be fixed in the future, hence why I have a Bully and a Fortuna on each of my pieces of equipment. For weapons, I suggest you use the pacifier mods in addition to your scope of choice, because pacifier will increase your critical damage, giving you a much higher boost than a base damage increase. On some weapons, a bug has been reported where penetrator mods, the crit chance mods, will actually overwrite your weapon's current critical chance. In addition to that, on weapons like the Quasar, it is recommended to use a countermass to eliminate your vertical recoil. And the last thing I want to go over today, guys, is the cyberware that is used in the build. We'll start with the operating system, because when using a Sandevis, then there's really only two choices, the Militech Falcon and the Quaint Warp Dancer. Now the Quaint Warp Dancer does a higher boost to your critical damage. However, it slows time down more and for less amount of time. The issue I found with this was that exclusively with the Comrade's Hammer, when I would use the Quaint Warp Dancer OS, I would only be able to fire once before the slowdown effect would wear off. With the Militech Falcon, the length of time allows me to get about 5 to 6 shots off before the slowdown time effect wears out. But we've got bionic joints to reduce the recoil of ranged weapons. We've got the synaptic signal optimizer for a health increase. I've got the smart link because I don't use power weapons and I don't use smart weapons, so I just threw it on there. I use the projectile launch system because with tranquilizing rounds it is completely overpowered and will drop any enemy in one shot. I use reinforced tendons for the double jump to reach higher up places and give you more maneuverability in combat. Grounded plating to give you immunity to shock. Heat converter so that when I'm affected by burn, instead of being damaged, it increases my damage. Subdermal armor for an additional 200 armor. Kerenzikov, which allows you to aim and shoot while dodging, and it slows time when doing so. So, this in conjunction with Sandevistan allows you to manipulate the time throughout the entire conflict. Maneuvering system for the mid-air dodges. This is for maneuverability and speed. Shock and awe. After taking damage, 10% chance to release an electroshock to nearby enemies. This honestly doesn't really happen too much. The metabolic editor, which makes poison heal you instead of taking damage. So with that, with the grounded plating, and with the heat converter, I'm completely immune to any status effects. The feedback circuit instantly restores 10% health after you discharge a fully charged weapon. That one's a no-brainer. Microgenerator, when your health drops to 15%, releases an electroshock that deals damage equal to 50% of the target's enemy's max health. I don't see this one happen too much either. Tyrosine injector increases the breach time of breach protocol by 100%. That's just filler. Kiroshi Optics MK3. So I've got the Epic variant that has 3 slots in it. All 3 slots have the trajectory analysis mods in them to increase headshot bonus damage by an additional 150% altogether. Then I go with the mechatronic core to increase damage to drones, mechs, and robots by 50%, as well as heal on kill for a 10% health after defeating an enemy. And there you have it, guys. That's about all the information I have to go over regarding my pistol gunslinger build with 100% critical chance. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll be having a few more build videos as well as many legendary item location guides coming out. I do appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.